Theories. In the story of Five Nights at Freddy's, nothing is given to you straight. Aside from a few key reveals, almost nothing gets definitively confirmed or debunked, and the details we get are consistently vague. You don't get lore, you get theories. It's give up or just get used to it. But not all theories are created equal. In a series designed to be analyzed, fans have stuck just about every peg in every hole they can think of, no matter the shape or size. Theories like Bone Guy's Purple Guy, Bite Victim is the Puppet, or even friggin' Pink Guy. But some theories go beyond speculative into a whole nother realm. A realm of theories which could only be possible in an environment of obsessive, perpetual analysis like a runaway growth in a petri dish. Theories only spoken by the deranged and unwell. Today, we're going to go in depth with some of the most far-out stuff there is and see if we can at least spin it into some interesting readings of the story. By the end, we may even come away from it with some brand new theories of our own. I'm going to assume that if you're watching this video, you have a decent grasp on FNAF's lore, so strap in, because I'm not explaining everything. This is Rosie's Bot Parlor. Maybe you're still not quite sure what a Brainrot theory looks like, but I have a feeling you'll pick up on it pretty quick. Exhibit A. Bouncepot caused the bite of 87. I love Bouncepot Bite of 87. Bouncepot is one of the first enemies you can encounter in FNAF World, and also one of the weakest. They're just about the most level 1 enemy there is. I thought the entire idea that they caused the bite of 87 would be a total meme, but it actually comes from the mobile port of FNAF World, which I didn't even know existed before making this video. The mobile version has a bunch of goofy, altered dialogue for Fredbear, Glitchbear, and Yellow Eyes, the characters who guide you through the game. I had to look this up just to make sure I wasn't being trolled by fake screenshots, but it's real. I might have to do an entire video just picking through all the weird stuff in it. Let me know if that sounds interesting. But sure enough, in the mobile version of FNAF World's canonical ending, the mysterious Yellow Eyes reveals that, in fact, they caused the bite of 87 all along, before stepping out of the shadows to reveal that it was Bouncepot the whole time. That's right, mind blown. It all makes sense when you think about it. All hail Bouncepot. So this is obviously a joke by Scott Cawthon. It seems he had a lot of fun with turning the bite of 87 into a big old whodunit. He released a series of teaser images before FNAF 4's release, each showing the nightmare versions of the classic animatronics with the tagline, "Was it me?" But in a twist, that game turned out to be about the bite of 83, so to this day we still don't know who caused the bite of 87, but huh? Bouncepot? Bouncepot is interesting because they're also just one of 3 FNAF World characters who have a small chance of appearing on the desk in Ultimate Custom Night, along with Tangle and White Rabbit. It's so random that specifically these 3 enemies are given heightened significance due to this little visual Easter egg, like, they're canon? They're no longer FNAF World exclusive, they're right there in UCN. Even weirder, Bouncepot is the odd one out. White Rabbit and Tangle are the 2 strongest non-boss enemy troops in the base game of FNAF World, only appearing in Pinwheel Circus, the highest level area of the game before the Halloween update. This implies some kind of special significance or favoritism toward Bouncepot. Maybe he's just supposed to be FNAF World's answer to the Pea Shooter or Goomba, just a cute level 1 character who can act as a sort of mascot? I mean, they are pretty cute, but what if? What if this inclusion is meant to tell us something? That maybe Bouncepot is more important than they seem, and maybe this reveal wasn't as facetious as we thought. Just look at them! Those big old buck teeth aren't for nothing. We never see Bouncepot anywhere in any of the classic FNAF locations, but they did get cameos in Into the Pit and on the arcade machines in Security Breach, and the second FNAF movie? I didn't realize you were a movie star, Bouncepot. Clearly, this little guy is important. No, relevant even. I can imagine Bouncepot being a little fixture in the FNAF 2 location, almost the size of a gumball machine. And think about it. That would put their face at the perfect level to take a chomp from a kid's skull or maybe a crouching adult's. Maybe that's why we never hear about the bite of 87 again. It was so irrelevant that you might as well just pin it on Bouncepot. Since I'm talking about these obscure FNAF World characters, let's get back to those other 2 enemies on the desk in UCN. Tangle, a recolor of Mangle, and White Rabbit? I love White Rabbit. FNAF World is by far my favorite FNAF game to actually play and I've always thought this spooky bone-white skeleton take on Toy Bonnie was super cool. That's why I had to include this next theory that might even give this white rabbit some newfound relevance. Mangled Rabbit. I gotta give credit to the 8-bit idiots, that's what they're called, who created this theory. Look at this YouTube short and tell me we're not still in Brainrot territory.
For 10 years straight, Mangle has perplexed us all with their gender.
Yeah. This is the theory that the second head on Mangle's endoskeleton, as well as all of Mangle's extra limbs, come from none other than White Rabbit. The two details which make this seem like an actual possibility to me are that Mangle has a short round bunny tail as well as 2 white hands, both features which couldn't have come from Toy or Funtime Foxy, who has a fox tail and a hook hand. Who has a white bunny tail and a white right hand? White Rabbit. Realistically, maybe these are just spare parts for Toy Bonnie. To do a little speculation, White Rabbit could represent an unpainted plastic mold for a spare Toy Bonnie animatronic, eventually picked apart and mixed together with Mangle. The fact that White Rabbit appears on the UCN desk alongside Tangle, a recolor of Mangle, does also make me raise my eyebrows. Some extra details supporting this theory are the two's shared feature of vacant black eyes, although that's pretty common, but also this random FNAF AR skin that shows Mangle's second endo head wearing a pair of bunny ears. Very curious. To speculate even further, is that why there isn't a full-size Funtime Bonnie? Maybe they were ultimately subsumed by Funtime Foxy. The lore is changed forever.
Except I checked while editing and the FNAF 2 movie opening just completely contradicts his argument, but whatever.
I kinda just wanna believe this theory because it allows me to retcon my favorite obscure FNAF character into the lore. Funko should seriously sell merch of White Rabbit, just make a cheap recolor of the Bonnie figure, I'd buy it. Tell Steel Wool to put White Rabbit in FNAF Ruin. Okay, moving on. Andrew Pizza. Andrew is not in the games. Andrew is a character exclusive to the Fazbear Frights book series. For a long time, people suspected that these stories were canon to the game's timeline, but it was recently confirmed that no, they're not. Andrew is the Frights version of the one you should not have killed, or the vengeful spirit who's tormenting William Afton in Ultimate Custom Night. Proposed by user Thomas T on the FNAF Theory subreddit, Andrew Pizza posits that William Afton cooked Andrew into a pizza and ate him, and that's why he's so vengeful. But could this possibly be true? We don't really learn much about Andrew's life in the books other than he was a troubled kid who was murdered by William. But after dying, Andrew somehow attaches his spirit onto William so that when William dies, Andrew can step in and take control. Andrew keeps William's body alive in order to torment him for as long as possible, in familiar UCN fashion. After William's living corpse is taken to a hospital, he silently communicates with a priest and convinces the man to take him to the Fazbear Entertainment Distribution Center. Upon entering, William promptly explodes. His guts cover all kinds of toys and animatronics in the warehouse, effectively haunting all of it. But even through all of this, Andrew remains attached to William's soul, and they eventually make it into an animatronic called the Stitch Wraith, along with another boy named Jake. What happens next? Read the books. But how did Andrew die? We never learn the circumstances of Andrew's murder, so how did he initially attach himself to William? Consider Andrew Pizza. If William actually ate Andrew, I guess it would make sense that Andrew could directly haunt or possess William's body in some way, especially considering that William's guts exploding everywhere brings Andrew along with him. Like, Andrew's spirit is literally in William's guts. The detail of Andrew being specifically cooked into a pizza comes from another Fazbear Fright story called Pizza Kit, in which a class of kids go on a field trip to the Faz Pizza Kit factory to make their own pizzas. A boy goes missing on this field trip, and his friend thinks he fell into a vat of pizza sauce. The boy's friend has a nightmare that he gets his pizza kit back, and it has the boy's actual skin, blood, and tongue cooked into it. He feels so guilty about it that he eats the pizza anyway in order to dispose of the evidence. Dispose of the evidence? Could this be how William disposed of Andrew's body? And just when you thought the evidence was too overwhelming, boom, on the Jeff's Pizza website promoting the release of FNAF Into the Pit, A pizza topping word search includes the hidden word child. Child Faz Pizza confirmed. But I get it. You don't care about FNAF book theories. We're here for FNAF game theories. So consider this. Cassidy Burger. Cassidy Burger is the theory that Cassidy was made into a burger and eaten by William Afton. Evidence? If Andrew was yummy, Afton would probably be craving another meal. If Cassidy is the vengeful spirit, being cooked into a meal would be outrageous, and a good reason to be vengeful. Wait, that's true. We thought Cassidy was in Golden Freddy, but consider this. How did Cassidy attach her spirit to William Afton if he did not eat her as a meal, just like the Andrew pizza? Need I say more? Okay, but hear me out. Cannibal Afton is a whole new dimension to this thing. I didn't see this coming. Maybe Afton just thought he wasn't being evil enough and needed to step up his game? I could almost see this as something William would actually do just for science. He was trying all kinds of stuff with possession. I bet you he'd eat 10 Cassidy burgers if he thought it'd bring him 1 inch closer to immortality. You don't know what Springtrap eats. This is making me hungry. I gotta get one of those Andrew pizzas. What were we talking about? Oh, right. Let's see what else we have here. Will victim? No. Mike clone? No. Oh, okay, here we go. Miketrap. Oh no, it's bringing me back already. Does this even count? A lot of people believe this. Some people still believe this. Sometimes Scott just makes things confusing for the sake of it, and the whole purple Mike debacle and its consequences were a disaster for the FNAF lore. You gotta remember that Sister Location was the first time we even got Michael or William Afton's names. At this point, we're still in headcanon land where Purple Guy is a security guard named Vincent and Bite Victim is just some random nobody. So when you introduce Michael Afton and show us a minigame in which he literally turns purple, you can expect that people would think Michael is the Purple Guy. Look, he's purple. This is only made more confusing when, in Michael's monologue at the end of Sister Location, he says, "Father, I'm going to come find you," while the game shows a short clip of Springtrap waking up in Fazbear Frights. Well, duh, that's Michael, the killer purple guy, in his murder persona, getting up to go get his dad. This is just like putting Midnight Motorist in a game meant to tie up loose ends and expecting everyone to intuitively understand what's going on. One of these days, Scott's gonna misdirect his car into a ditch just to subvert our expectations. Even beginning to try and make Miketrap work as a theory is intimidating because it upends pretty much all of the canon gospel in the original series. You're kind of just starting from scratch at that point. It was deconfirmed in the very next game, FNAF 6 Pizza Sim, where Springtrap shows up again, this time just credited as William Afton. It doesn't get much more direct than that. Okay, but what if this isn't Springtrap in Pizza Sim? I mean, duh, that's Scraptrap. So let's just say that Scraptrap is William, and Springtrap is actually Michael Afton. Another theory that some people actually believe, 2 Springtraps. We've officially gone a second layer deep into the next embedded Brainrot theory. I'm not even sure how this is supposed to work, but I'll give it a shot. Let's take every instance of Purple Guy in FNAF 2 and 3 and just say that's Michael. Michael goes into the Sister Location bunker for his dad, gets entered inside of him, turns purple, does the DCI, and gets trapped in the Springlock suits by the MCI spirits who think he's William. If we say that the Purple Guy in FNAF 4 is still William, then Michael can still be Foxy Bro, which at least maintains some of the story. So now we have 2 Purple Guys. The pair of them work as a team to research possession and put Crying Child back together, but William is opportunistically leveraging the genuine guilt Mike feels about his brother's death in order to use him for his own ends. Then, William did the MCI, got actually caught and convicted for real, leaving his son Michael to follow in his father's footsteps and carry on with the killing. Afterward, we have to assume that at some point, William gets out of prison and decides to get his own Springlock suit so he can have some of that possessed immortality that Michael's always talking about. That leaves the question of where Miketrap is in Pizza Sim. Maybe he just died in the FNAF 3 fire, which would mean that the Pizza Sim player character is just a random no-name employee who Henry kills in his fire for no reason. Just guessing that this random employee will be totally cool with dying in a fire with all these haunted animatronics. Or, what if the final layer of my creation, Miketrap FFPS. In Pizza Sim, you're actually playing as Miketrap. Don't even think about the real-world logistics of this, just go with it. Miketrap survives the FNAF 3 fire, goes to find his father, and ends up getting trapped along with him in the Pizza Sim fire, and they die together. Why is Scrap William aggressive toward Miketrap if they're working together? Well, maybe William has grown jealous of his son playing the role that William was meant to play all along. It would be in line with William's character. I can't imagine his ego allowing him to share the spotlight with Michael for long. Or maybe William just wanted to eat the Michael sandwich and absorb his life force, just like the Cassidy Burger. Actually, stop. Thinking this much about Miketrap is starting to get on my nerves. He's just so goofy. To back all the way up, I think that if we were going to go with this plot point of Michael getting entered inside of him and this sequence of Michael and sister location, couldn't he have just turned gray or something? But no, we had to do theming. Get it? He's like his father, so he also turns purple, just like his father is depicted in these very abstract arcade-style minigames. It feels like some big clever reveal, except that it just doesn't make any sense. Is that the purple guy? Was that the Bite of 87? Is FNAF 2 a sequel? Scott! Next theory. Afbesuglsegherbktr. Okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but sometimes I ask AI questions just to see what it'll say. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything super obvious while making this video, but when I asked, it started hallucinating the most insane shit. This includes Michael Staircase, the theory that you can use the number of steps on a staircase in the FNAF 4 house to calculate Michael Afton's theoretical age during the nightmare sequences. Not only is this based Michael Dreamer propaganda, but there is no staircase in the FNAF 4 house. You're just making shit up. This is why you should never use AI for your writing projects. This sounds so much like a theory one of you scoundrels would have come up with. But by far, my favorite is JJ Mayhem. JJ Mayhem is the theory that the Midnight Motorist runaway is none other than JJ. And the reason they hide under the desk in FNAF 2 is because they've been traumatized by William Afton. Holy peak. Maybe I was being too hard on AI if it can come up with this absolute genius. Why is it even called JJ Mayhem? What's the mayhem? Someone needs to add this theory to the theory wiki. It changes the lore forever. But okay, hear me out. What if JJ is actually hiding under the desk in FNAF 2, not to be spooky scary, but because they're actually afraid of something? We don't really know if the balloon children are possessed or really anything about them, so we're way into Foxy is a good guy headcanon territory here. But as far as headcanon theories go, JJ Scared might have a leg to stand on. The haunted characters in the FNAF games are largely cooperative with one another. They don't get in each other's way, and they all seem pretty united in the task of killing you. So, to have JJ hiding under your desk in fear of the others rather than aggression toward you is an interesting idea. The closest look we get at conflict between possessed objects in the classic FNAF games comes from a conversation hidden in the Scott Games website teasing FNAF 6. It depicts a conversation between Circus Baby and the other spirits possessing Ennard. The other spirits basically tell Baby that she's crowding them and that they're gonna kick her out, to which Baby says, "He'll be lost without me. I'll put myself back together." Snippy. If spirits can argue with and bully one another, then maybe that's what's happening with JJ. This reading turns JJ from a one-off Easter egg meant to subtly disturb the player into a sort of tragic story. What if the spirit haunting JJ was a kid being picked on by the others in life and is still afraid of them even in death? Maybe the spirit's last memory was one of fear and confusion rather than anger. Or maybe JJ is just as afraid of the other animatronics as you are because they don't even know they're dead. Or maybe JJ is the fourth Afton child in the Midnight Motorist Runaway. JJ Mayhem confirmed. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it. If you did, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more FNAF theories. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Leave a comment letting me know which theories I missed. I'm sure you will. There's plenty I considered covering but didn't, so if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll make a part 2. I even wrote and recorded a whole section about Glamrock Freddy as Michael Afton, which just wasn't rotting my brain enough, so maybe I'll have to cover that another time. I wasn't expecting anyone to even see my last video, but the response has been amazing. Thank you to everyone who supported my channel's launch. I know this video isn't exactly the hard-hitting lore analysis that the last theory was, but hopefully we'll get back to some of that soon. I also just really like doing these silly videos, but let me know what you think.
Bye-bye.